Have you ever noticed how quietly a life can disappear? Not through catastrophe, not through failure, but through constant attention given to people who never intended to value it. One conversation you replay for hours. One message you keep waiting for. One opinion you cannot stop thinking about. One relationship you continue to rescue, even as it drains your peace. Day after day, your mind becomes occupied by people who would barely notice your absence. The greatest tragedy is not that they fail to care. The greatest tragedy is that little by little, you begin to value their attention more than your own character. The Stoics understood this danger centuries before the modern world transformed distraction into an industry. They recognized that every human being possesses only one, truly irreplaceable possession, the present moment directed by reason. Everything else, wealth, reputation, admiration, relationships, even physical health, belongs to the realm of uncertainty. It may remain with us today and vanish tomorrow. Yet people continue spending their most precious resource chasing something they were never meant to control, the thoughts and feelings of others. This is where suffering quietly begins. Not because someone ignored you, not because someone rejected you, but because you unconsciously handed another person authority over your emotional state. The moment your peace depends on someone else's approval, you have surrendered your freedom. Many people spend years believing they are searching for love, friendship, recognition, or respect. In reality, they are searching for permission to feel valuable. That permission never arrives. Even when praise comes, it is temporary. Even when acceptance is granted, fear immediately follows. Fear of losing it. Fear of disappointing others. Fear that tomorrow they may no longer think highly of you. This is not freedom. It is psychological dependence disguised as connection. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself repeatedly that every person acts according to what appears true to them. People ignore us because they are occupied by their own concerns. They criticize because their own judgments compel them. They admire today and condemn tomorrow because human opinion shifts like the wind across open water. None of these movements belong to us. Imagine carrying a cup filled completely to the edge with water. Every unnecessary argument, every attempt to impress someone, every hour spent worrying about another person's opinion causes another drop to spill. Eventually, the cup is empty. Not because life demanded too much from you, but because you kept offering your energy to places where nothing meaningful could grow. Most people never recognize this invisible transaction. Every complaint entertained, every insult remembered, every social comparison repeated, every desperate attempt to convince someone of your worth becomes a silent payment taken from the account of your life. The Stoics asked a simple but devastating question. Is this within your control? If the answer is no, why offer it your peace? This question appears almost too simple, yet if honestly applied, it dismantles countless anxieties. You cannot control whether someone appreciates your sacrifices. You cannot force loyalty. You cannot manufacture affection. You cannot dictate whether people understand your intentions. You cannot ensure fairness. You cannot prevent betrayal, but you can control your response. You can decide whether another person's actions deserve another hour of your thoughts. This distinction changes everything. Modern culture encourages emotional investment without limits. We are taught to chase validation, constantly explain ourselves, endlessly defend our decisions, and maintain visibility so others will remember us. The Stoics proposed something entirely different. They taught that true strength often grows in silence. Silence is not weakness. Silence is choosing not to participate in battles that diminish your character. When someone refuses to understand you, silence protects your dignity. When someone seeks conflict instead of truth, silence preserves your energy. When someone underestimates you, silence allows your actions to speak over time. There is enormous power in becoming difficult to provoke. Consider How easily people manipulate those who react instantly. One insult produces anger. One criticism destroys confidence. One rejection leads to desperation. Such a person can be controlled without chains because their emotions remain available to everyone. The Stoic cannot be governed this way, not because they feel nothing, because they examine every feeling before allowing it authority. This discipline creates a remarkable kind of freedom. External events continue exactly as before. Difficult people still exist. Disappointments still arrive. Loss still hurts. Yet suffering no longer expands endlessly, because the mind refuses to cooperate with unnecessary pain. Epictetus taught that people are disturbed not by events themselves, but by the judgments they make about those events. This insight remains astonishingly relevant today. Someone ignores your message. The event itself is simple, but then the mind begins constructing stories. Perhaps they dislike me. Perhaps I am not important. Perhaps I always lose people. Soon the original event disappears beneath layers of interpretation. The suffering no longer comes from reality, it comes from imagination. How much of your life has been consumed by stories that never reflected the truth? How many sleepless nights resulted from assumptions? How many opportunities vanished because you feared opinions that were never actually spoken? The disciplined mind learns to separate facts from interpretations. The fact may be that someone walked away. The interpretation says you are unworthy. The Stoic rejects the interpretation because it exceeds available evidence. This habit protects inner stability. It also restores enormous amounts of mental energy. Think about how many people spend entire decades emotionally negotiating with those who have already made their choices. They continue proving themselves, explaining themselves, waiting for apologies, hoping consistency will eventually earn appreciation. Meanwhile, life continues moving forward. The seasons change. The body ages. New opportunities appear and disappear, yet the mind remains trapped before a closed door. The Stoics would ask another uncomfortable question. Why remain where you are no longer welcomed? This question extends beyond relationships. It applies to every area where attention becomes trapped. Careers that destroy integrity. Friendships sustained only through obligation. Endless online arguments. Communities built upon comparison rather than virtue. Every attachment deserves examination. Does this strengthen your character, or merely consume your time? Because time never negotiates. It does not pause while you wait for people to become different. It does not refund years invested in impossible expectations. It simply continues moving. Marcus Aurelius frequently reflected on mortality, not to produce fear, but clarity. Every morning represented one fewer morning remaining. Every conversation might be the last. Every decision silently shaped the person he would become. When viewed through this perspective, many daily worries immediately lose significance. Will this criticism matter on the final day of your life? Will this stranger's opinion deserve another month of anxiety? Will convincing someone who refuses to understand you become your greatest accomplishment? Almost certainly not. Death has a remarkable ability to expose trivial concerns. It reminds us that attention is finite. Where attention goes, life follows. This is why wise people become selective. Not cold. Not indifferent. Kindness. Selective. They recognize that compassion does not require self-abandonment. Love does not require endless sacrifice. For people committed to misunderstanding you, generosity does not require tolerating repeated disrespect. One of the greatest misconceptions about Stoicism is that it encourages emotional isolation. Nothing could be further from the truth. The Stoics valued friendship deeply. They admired loyalty, justice, and service. But they insisted that relationships must rest upon virtue rather than dependency. Dependency creates fear, virtue creates freedom. If you need someone in order to remain emotionally stable, they unknowingly possess power over your peace. If you appreciate someone while remaining internally complete, your relationship becomes healthier for both people. This distinction transforms every interaction. Instead of asking, "How can I make them stay?" you begin asking, "How can I remain honorable regardless of whether they stay?" That is a question entirely within your control, and because it belongs to your character, no one can steal the answer. There is another subtle trap that quietly steals years from countless lives, trying to rescue people who have no desire to change. Perhaps you have experienced this yourself. You invest endless patience into someone determined to repeat destructive habits. You offer wisdom they never requested. You provide opportunities they repeatedly waste. Eventually, exhaustion replaces compassion. The Stoics recognized that each individual remains responsible for governing their own mind. You cannot reason someone into discipline. You cannot force wisdom upon the unwilling. You cannot carry another person's responsibility without eventually dropping your own. This realization often feels painful because good-hearted people naturally wish to help, but there exists an important difference between helping and caring. Helping empowers, carrying creates dependence. Helping respects another person's agency. Carrying silently assumes responsibility that never belonged to you. Wisdom knows where one ends and the other begins. Likewise, there are people who enter your life only to consume attention. They thrive on drama. They generate conflict wherever peace begins to emerge. Every conversation revolves around resentment, gossip, envy, or endless complaint. Without realizing it, you begin adopting their mental habits. The Stoics warned repeatedly that character is shaped by company. Spend enough time among the bitter, and gratitude becomes difficult. Remain constantly surrounded by the impatient, and calmness begins to disappear. Associate only with those obsessed with appearance, and eventually substance feels insufficient. Human beings absorb the emotional climate around them. For this reason, protecting your inner world sometimes requires quietly reducing your exposure to unnecessary negativity, not through hatred, not through revenge, simply through disciplined distance. Distance often communicates more wisdom than confrontation. There are battles that cannot be won because the other person is not seeking truth. They seek reaction. Once you understand this, silence becomes strategy rather than surrender. Have you noticed how mountains never argue with storms? The storm arrives with tremendous noise, believing itself powerful enough to reshape everything before hours later. The sky clears, the mountain remains. Strength often appears quiet because it has nothing to prove. The insecure mind constantly announces itself. The disciplined mind simply continues its work. This principle applies equally to ambition. Many people reveal every plan before accomplishing anything. They seek excitement from announcing future success rather than earning it through consistent effort. The Stoics encourage the opposite. Allow your work to mature privately. Protect it from unnecessary opinions. Let results introduce you. There is extraordinary psychological strength in becoming less available for external validation and more committed to internal excellence. Because once your identity depends upon your own standards rather than public approval, life becomes astonishingly peaceful. Insults lose much of their power. Praise becomes pleasant, but unnecessary. Comparison gradually disappears. Competition transforms into self-mastery. You stop measuring yourself against people who neither understand your journey nor share your values. Instead, you ask one question at the end of each day: Did I become slightly better than I was yesterday? That single question carries more wisdom than 1,000 compliments, because improvement compounds. Quietly. Character grows invisibly. Discipline rarely announces its arrival. But eventually its results become impossible to ignore. Those who once overlooked you begin wondering what changed. The answer is deceptively simple. You stopped chasing people who never cared. You began investing in the one person whose transformation you could actually control, yourself. The moment you stop chasing people who refuse to value you, something unexpected happens. At first it feels like loss. The silence becomes unfamiliar. The phone stops demanding your attention. The endless cycle of hoping, waiting, explaining, and proving suddenly comes to an end. Many mistake this emptiness for loneliness, but the Stoics would tell you that what you are experiencing is not loneliness at all. It is the sound of your own mind returning after years of being occupied by other people's choices. Most individuals have never truly met themselves. They know who they are in relationships. They know who they are at work. They know who they become around family, friends, critics, and strangers. But remove every audience, every expectation, every social performance, and a difficult question emerges. Who are you when no one is watching? This was one of the silent pursuits of Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius was emperor of the greatest empire on earth, surrounded by servants, soldiers, politicians, and endless public attention. Yet every evening he returned to private reflection, reminding himself that titles were temporary, applause was unreliable, and only character remained truly his own. Imagine possessing immense power while refusing to let that power define your identity. Imagine receiving admiration from thousands yet refusing to depend upon any of it. This is why Marcus Aurelius continues to inspire people centuries after his death. His greatness did not come from ruling Rome, it came from ruling himself. That lesson has become even more valuable today that we now live in a world where attention itself has become a currency. Every notification competes for your focus. Every opinion demands a response. Every disagreement invites participation. Entire industries profit from convincing you that your worth depends upon remaining visible, relevant, and approved by strangers. The Stoics would likely observe this world and ask a question that sounds almost uncomfortable. What if your greatest advantage is becoming unavailable to unnecessary noise? There is a profound difference between isolation and intentional solitude. Isolation weakens because it comes from fear. Solitude strengthens because it comes from purpose. Within solitude, distractions lose their influence. You begin hearing your own thoughts instead of repeating everyone else's. You notice habits that previously escaped your awareness. You recognize emotional patterns that controlled your behavior for years. Most importantly, you rediscover responsibility, because without constant distraction, there is nowhere left to place blame. Not on your critics. Not on your family. Not on your co-workers. Not on society. Only on your own daily choices. This realization may initially feel harsh, but it is actually liberating. If your peace depends entirely upon external circumstances, then peace will always remain uncertain. If your peace depends primarily upon your own conduct, then no circumstance can permanently destroy it. This is the foundation of Stoic resilience. People often ask how emotionally strong individuals remain calm during betrayal, disappointment, or public criticism. They assume these people simply possess unusual personalities. The Stoics would disagree. Strength is not inherited, it is practiced. Every insult ignored strengthens restraint. Every temptation resisted strengthens. Discipline. Every setback accepted strengthens. Endurance. Every difficult morning embraced strengthens character. Virtue is not built during extraordinary moments. It is built through ordinary decisions repeated consistently. Consider the blacksmith. Forging a sword, the steel is heated until it softens. Then it is struck repeatedly. Again. Again. To someone watching from a distance, those blows appear destructive. In reality, they are creating strength impossible to achieve through comfort. Alone, life often works the same way. The rejection you wanted to avoid teaches independence. The criticism you feared teaches emotional stability. The failure that embarrassed you teaches humility. The loneliness that frightened you teaches self-sufficiency. Each obstacle becomes raw material. This is the heart of amor fati, the love of fate. Not merely accepting hardship, welcoming it as a necessary teacher. Notice the difference. The average person asks, "Why is this happening to me?" The Stoic asks, "How can this improve me?" One question produces resentment, the other produces growth. This shift in perspective changes everything, because suffering without meaning becomes unbearable, while suffering connected to purpose becomes transformative. Think back to the greatest periods of your own development. Were they born from comfort? Or did they emerge from moments when life refused to cooperate with your expectations? Most people eventually discover that their strongest qualities were shaped precisely where they wished. Circumstances had been different. Patience develops while waiting. Courage develops while afraid. Wisdom develops after mistakes. Self-respect develops after finally refusing to tolerate what once seemed acceptable. This is why the Stoics never worshipped comfort. Comfort often weakens the muscles of the soul. Ease can quietly create dependence. When every desire is immediately satisfied, discipline slowly disappears. Delayed gratification becomes unbearable. Minor inconveniences feel catastrophic. The mind loses its resilience because it has forgotten how to endure. Radical self-discipline offers another path. It teaches you to say no to immediate pleasure in service of lasting fulfillment. It teaches you that every decision either strengthens or weakens your future self. Each morning presents an invisible choice. Will you train your character or your impulses? No one else can answer that question for you. Not your family. Not your friends. Not your circumstances. Only you. The remarkable truth is that discipline eventually becomes freedom. The undisciplined person appears free because they follow every impulse. In reality, they become enslaved by emotion. They eat without restraint. They speak without thinking. They react without reflection. They spend without purpose. They chase approval without limit. Every impulse becomes another chain. The disciplined individual appears restricted. Yet internally they become increasingly free. They decide rather than react. They choose rather than drift. They govern themselves rather than being governed by circumstance. That is real freedom. There will always be people who misunderstand this transformation. Some will call you distant because you no longer participate in unnecessary drama. Others will accuse you of changing because your priorities no longer revolve around pleasing them. A few may even resent your peace because it exposes their own inner chaos. Do not allow this to discourage you. Growth often changes relationships. Not because you have become arrogant, because your standards have become healthier. You no longer confuse attention with affection. You no longer mistake familiarity for loyalty. You no longer tolerate disrespect simply because someone has been present for many years. Time alone does not sanctify relationships. Character does. The Stoics believed friendship should elevate both people toward virtue. Anything less deserved honest examination. This does not mean abandoning compassion. In fact, true Stoicism produces deeper compassion because it removes ego from service. You help because it is right, not because you expect gratitude. You forgive because resentment poisons your own mind, not because wrongdoing becomes acceptable. You remain kind because kindness reflects your character. Not because everyone deserves unlimited access to your life. This distinction protects both wisdom and generosity. Another beautiful consequence emerges. When you stop wasting your life on those who do not care, you finally recognize those who do. They were often present all along, the loyal friend who never demanded constant attention, the family member who quietly supported you without seeking recognition. The mentor whose advice challenged rather than flattered you, the colleague whose integrity remained consistent regardless of circumstance. Gratitude sharpens your vision. Instead of mourning every closed door, you begin appreciating those already open. This abundance was always there. Your attention simply remained elsewhere. Remember that attention is one of the greatest gifts you possess. Whatever receives it grows. Feed resentment, and resentment expands. Feed envy, and envy strengthens. Feed discipline, and discipline deepens. Feed wisdom, and wisdom quietly transforms your entire life. Every day you decide which garden receives water. Choose carefully, because months become years. Years become a lifetime, and a lifetime becomes your legacy. When your final day eventually arrives, no one will ask how many strangers approved of you. No one will measure the number of arguments you won. No one will celebrate the hours spent worrying about people who never valued your presence. Only one question will truly matter. Did you live according to your highest principles? Did you become someone worthy of your own respect? That is the judgment the Stoics prepared for every single day, not the judgment of crowds. Not the judgment of enemies. The judgment of conscience. There is immense peace in reaching the end of a day, knowing you acted with integrity, even when misunderstood. There is immense freedom in sleeping peacefully while others continue chasing approval that never satisfies. There is immense strength in quietly improving while the world remains distracted by appearances. Never forget this. Your life is not measured by how desperately others wanted your company. It is measured by how faithfully you cultivated your own character. People will come. People will leave. Some will love you. Some will misunderstand you. Some will applaud your success. Others will secretly hope for your failure. Let them. Their choices belong to them. Your responsibility begins and ends with your own mind. Guard it carefully. Strengthen it daily. Refine it through discipline. Protect it through silence. Elevate it through wisdom. And whenever you find yourself tempted to chase someone who has already shown you they do not care, remember the lesson that is echoed across the centuries. The person most deserving of your time, your discipline, your patience, and your unwavering commitment has been with you from the very beginning. Invest in that person. Nurture that person. Master that person. Because once you have mastered yourself, the opinions of the world become little more than passing weather. Storms will still come, voices will still rise, critics will still speak, but like the mountain that remains unmoved after every passing storm, your peace will no longer depend upon what others choose to do. And that is the moment you truly stop wasting your life. That is the moment you become free.